So design thinking to me is both a set of tools, so prototyping, testing, talking to users, but it's also a mindset. So the way that you approach, how open you are you able to fail, how you embrace an innovation culture and actually really engage and get the most out of the tools that are used and taught is really important. So having both mindset and tools to actually execute and do and find value for humans and people and users by putting them at the centre of the innovation process, which I think is super important. Putting people right front and centre is really important to have meaningful outcomes, and that ability to empathise that you develop when you learn about design thinking, you can apply to everyday life, how you work with colleagues, how you interact with people down at the supermarket. It just makes for a better way of being in a better world, and really important when you're working in design thinking teams as well, that you can empathise with your teammates, because you're probably going to be of a different discipline background. That's what makes it so rich. And if you're working across cultures as well, you know, if you've got global teams that you're working in, the ability to empathise and really understand that people are coming from different perspectives and backgrounds and have different values, that is really useful. So that ability to empathise, reflect, be aware of differences helps you be an innovator but also a collaborator. It is so important when you are working on a global collaboration project that you spend time not only on executing the project, on exploring whatever the topic is, whether it's finding new applications for a technology, whether it's finding a solution for an MS patient to track their progress, whatever that is, you also need to spend time working on your team. The project, important, of course, but to get the most out of it, you have to work at being a team, because it's difficult. Teams are made to be diverse, to create conflict, and you actually need to spend time managing that so you get positive conflict for positive and really interesting outcomes, and that it just doesn't end up being a team that cooperates or has conflict or just becomes agreeable because they don't want to see the conflict. Working on being a team that can share and interact and have positive conflict is really important. My personal fascination about design thinking is how each individual engages with it and experiences it. So even though it's called design thinking, it's different for designers. So if you're trained as an industrial designer or you're trained as a communication designer, you've got a particular process, and quite often the designer is the art director, and there's ego involved in that. So when you're applying design thinking, there is no ego. It's about users and humans and putting them at centre. So you're learning a very different type of design process. For an engineer, it might be quite different because the design process is unknown, the design thinking process is unknown and organic, and usually there is structure and process to follow, and there's always these different tensions of people coming in and learning these different tools, but once it clicks and resonates, there's this aha moment where everyone suddenly comes together and have discovered this new way of doing that just empowers them to do really amazing things for people. So I would say to the students, make sure you continue to socialise. Keep your interactions with your teammates ongoing and visible. Establish and keep fostering trust and empathy, because you need to be able to work together to really maximise your potential. You'll all be able to learn and develop the skills and tools to do design thinking, smart, capable people with lots of knowledge and experience that you bring to the table. You want to make sure that you can integrate that and make the most of it. I think for the sponsors, it is about allowing the students to really uncover user needs and early on explore the problem space and find value that they can add before they start to focus in on one particular direction and work out how that can be implemented. So giving the students and the teams the space to really explore, fail early on is super important.